Hi everyone, it's Wise Terry here. Today I'm going to talk about basically my dream game. I want a game with lots of freedom and customization options to be able to make everything unique to match my own preference. I don't really like linear games that hold your hand and just lack freedom to play it your own way. So throughout the video I'm going to give some games as an example, but please keep in mind that I haven't played many games, so I can only talk about games that I have either played or at least I know a lot about them or about a specific feature. I'm sure there are many other good games that I could give as an example, but if I'm not sure or I don't know at all, then I basically cannot mention it, right? But let's begin. So first, I think that one of the most important aspects in many games is combat. What I would like to see in a game is first of all action combat for sure. And I would say an example games would be, for example, Black Desert Online, Where Winds Meet, Dragon's Dogma 2, but with a skill tree from Path of Exile. The skill tree doesn't have to be necessarily as huge as it is in Path of Exile, but I would like to have enough freedom when it comes to build variety. It would be cool if I can start a game as a no one basically. I guess I would say a classless character and build up my way to become a certain class, whatever the path I choose. And depending on that, I can unlock some skills and I can unlock some passives or whatever. This is something I would definitely enjoy a lot. Definitely, I don't want this to be a top down game, and also I don't want this to be a first person game, but just a normal third person game, as the games I already mentioned as an example. Also, I prefer hack and slash type of games where I can slash through large groups of enemies, not fighting each mob one on one or against a small group of enemies for too long. So I guess more faster, yeah, like Black Desert Online or something like that, I guess, or even Crimson Desert, for example. And when it comes to bosses or such, then I do like bosses, but I don't like when bosses have too punishing mechanics, like wipe mechanics or something like that. Maybe as an example, I would like to have bosses like Crimson Desert, something like that, I guess. But yeah, I have never been a huge fan of fighting bosses, so I cannot give a very good example, maybe. This is something I personally don't like that much. If a boss can just take you down in one hit, I mean, of course, if you are under geared, it makes sense, but if not, then that shouldn't be the case, at least not to me. Another very important aspect in games is character creator, being able to create your character, being able to adjust its physical appearance. And some good examples I would say are, for example, Where Winds Meet, Black Desert Online, Elden Ring, Dragon's Dogma 2. Basically, a character creator that allows you to adjust almost every detail. That's the best for me. I know some people don't like it, but this is something I would definitely like to have in a game because I want to look as unique as possible and feel satisfied with my character, because if I created it, depending on how much time and effort I'm willing to put into it, I can get the result I want, depending on how much freedom does the creator allow me. Overall, just having a character I'm satisfied with, something that's unique to my taste, I can just feel more immersed. Just having a unique character that's created by me, I can just enjoy taking screenshots or content creation a lot more. Something related to it is I like to have lots of customizable costumes with separate options for every body part to be able to mix and match. So again, some good examples, for example, Black Desert Online or Final Fantasy 14. Actually, I don't know that many games that come to my mind that give so many separate costume parts, but these are some of the games that came to my mind. Both games don't do it maybe perfectly, to me at least, but they are pretty good already. And another customization I would like to have is to be able to freely build basically almost anywhere in the hopefully open world with lots of options to choose from. Something that's typically seen in survival games, for example, games like Enshrouded or Once Human or Conan Exiles or something like Pax Dei. Games like these would be buildings in games like these are very good. So this is something I would definitely like to have. I like to be able to customize the world, create my own buildings, my towns, my villages, or whatever. It's really good and relaxing to spend time in a home I created for myself when I want to just chill and relax, and it definitely adds to the longevity of the game. So yeah, definitely a big plus to me. And of course, something that will support everything that I just mentioned, a game has to have good graphics and a packed open world with multiple biomes or whatever, and maybe dynamic weather and so on. I think a good example is Crimson Desert. I think they are doing pretty well with it and it's well optimized also. Also, as I mentioned, a packed open world. What I mean by this is that there is a lot going on, but also just I would like to see that there are some puzzles to solve, some chests or any rewarding items to discover, and so on. I guess similar to some open world gacha games. For example, games like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, I guess. Something that's important to it is, I think if there are puzzles, the puzzles shouldn't be too difficult so that majority of the people cannot solve it by themselves and they need to watch a guide, need to leave the game to watch a guide. I mean, it's not that good if you cannot play the game but you need to go and look up some guides to be able to proceed. So yeah, puzzles definitely has to be interesting and challenging enough, but not something too difficult. Like they have to make sense, kinda, and shouldn't be too complicated and shouldn't be so difficult that it takes too long to understand what do you have to do. But again, have to be challenging and interesting enough. Otherwise, it's just too boring and tedious. And when it comes to maybe world design or whatever, well, first of all, I would like the world to take place not in very modern environment, but slightly maybe older, more historical. But something that I would also like to keep in mind is that I would like to see lots of nature, and also I like a world that has lots of fantasy in it. For example, Final Fantasy 14 or Elder Scrolls Online are doing it pretty well, I think. Just I would like to play in an environment that's a bit more interesting than real life, because if I want to go and see the nature in real life, I can just go outside and see it. I mean, of course, it's beautiful and everything, and can be beautiful in games too, but adding some extra fantasy would be a big plus to me. It definitely has to be a living world. Something maybe similar to, again, like Crimson Desert or Cyberpunk 2077, where NPCs are doing their own thing, where the world feels alive. And it's alive on its own, even without a player interacting with it. That's something also really important to me, at least. Just not a game where NPCs are doing some random repetitive stuff in short, let's say, for example, 10-second time frames, but where NPCs are actually, like, at least it looks like they are living their lives, normal lives, doing different stuff to get by. And somewhat related to it, I wish the game was basically infinite, so that everything that's going on in the game, it looks like everything continues forever. Everything is progressing somewhat, but continues forever. That there is always something to do after completing things in the world. Of course, very important in games is also how to move around, and it's definitely something that adds to the game. So I think it would be great to have, of course, pets, animals, or whatever, but most importantly, to have mounts. So maybe something like Guild Wars 2 or Crimson Desert again are doing it pretty well. They have many cool mounts, different types of mounts that come with different type of special skills, abilities, functions, or whatever. This is something I would definitely enjoy having in the game. Would definitely make exploring a lot more interesting and just having more fun with your mounts by doing different stuff that they allow you to do. Something that's not important to me is to have a story. Maybe if I would ever want to have a story in a game, it definitely has to be very engaging, not too complicated. It has to make a lot of sense, I guess, and it shouldn't be too long and tedious. But personally, I wouldn't mind if a game didn't have any story at all. I'm in general not a fan of quests and such. I just want to get into action. I just want to create my own story from basically ground up. This is just something I prefer. When it comes to sound effects, it is also really important, and it does matter a lot. It's a bit difficult to give an example what would I like to have, but depending on the situation, I'd like the environmental sound and background music just to kind of match it, I guess. And of course, my character's combat sound effects should feel impactful, and for example, something like ultimate skills or whatever should feel amazing, both the visual and the audio feedback. Basically, getting close to the end now, and something that's very important to mention if it's going to be a game that someone else is going to create. I don't want most of the fun stuff or whatever good stuff to be locked behind a paywall. Actually, I don't want anything to be locked behind a paywall. I just want the game to be a one-time purchase. And basically, after I purchase the game, I want to have the access forever. That would be the best for me because, as I mentioned, longevity matters. And if I put a lot of time and effort into creating my own world in that virtual space that's created for me, for all of us, maybe, then I just want to be able to maybe take a break, but go back to it a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 10 years later, and I still want to be able to continue where I last was. I don't want to lose it all, you know. If I put in a lot of effort and so on, and first of all, if I paid for something, I want to be able to access it forever. So maybe something like a single player game but with some co-op possibilities because it is good to be able to play with others too. But yeah, when it's a live service game, then for sure some further payments are required. I mean, I don't mind if I have to pay for some bigger DLCs or whatever, but I just don't want to pay, for example, for cosmetic pieces and for whatever this kind of stuff, you know. I want to have it all basically after I purchase the game. That would be the best. But yeah, when it comes to single player games with co-op possibilities, I think something like Enshrouded is a good example where you can travel between different servers or worlds or whatever with your own character. this is something that's also really important. So once I created my character, I built up my character and so on, that I can just use this character to visit the other worlds if I'm given the access to do so or whatever. This is something that I would definitely enjoy a lot. Perfect game, of course, need to meet lots of different criteria, that's for sure. And I'm pretty sure I still forgot to mention something. Games are supposed to have a lot to offer, and of course, there are really too many details to actually consider. But I think I did mention at least most of the major things that matter to me, at least. If you want to let me know your thoughts on what I just talked about, tell me what are some major, most important things to you in video games that you definitely want to have, and how exactly would you like to have them in your game or whatever. I'm curious to know your thoughts, so feel free to share. But that's it for today. Take care. Bye.